There are moments in life when everything you thought you knew turns out to be a carefully constructed illusion. The ground beneath your feet shifts, the people you trusted reveal hidden faces, and you realize that survival isn't just about strength. It's about choosing who you become when the world demands you break. This is the heart of Onyx Storm, the third book in Rebecca Yarros' gripping Empyrean series. Yarros, a storytelling force who has captured millions of readers worldwide, weaves a tale that goes far beyond fantasy and dragon riders. At its core, this is a story about trust, betrayal, power, and the terrifying beauty of becoming someone new under impossible pressure. The story follows Violet Sorrengale, a young woman thrust into a brutal war college where only the strongest survive. But this isn't just about physical survival, it's about emotional endurance. It's about learning that the people closest to you can become strangers overnight. And it's about discovering that love, when tested by secrets and lies, either shatters completely or transforms into something unbreakable. In Onyx Storm, Violet faces her greatest challenge yet. Not on the battlefield, not against external enemies, but within the fragile bonds she's built with those she loves. The person she trusted most, the one who held her heart, has been keeping secrets. Dark, dangerous secrets that threaten everything. And now she must decide, does she walk away to protect herself? Or does she fight to understand the truth, even if it destroys her? This question echoes far beyond the pages of a fantasy novel. It speaks to a truth we all face at some point. What do you do when someone you love betrays your trust? Do you harden your heart and close the door forever? Or do you lean into the discomfort, ask the hard questions, and risk being hurt again in search of something real? Yarros doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, she shows us a protagonist who struggles, stumbles, and sometimes makes the wrong choice. Violet is not a perfect hero. She's angry, she's afraid. She doubts herself constantly, and that's precisely what makes her story so powerful. Because we see ourselves in her. We see the moments when we wanted to run, when we wanted to scream, when we wanted to give up on people entirely. But Violet also shows us something else. She shows us that resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about breaking and choosing to rebuild anyway. It's about sitting with the pain of betrayal and still deciding that hope is worth the risk. It's about learning that strength isn't a wall you build around your heart. It's the courage to keep your heart open even when it's been shattered. One of the most compelling aspects of Onyx Storm is how it explores the complexity of human relationships. In our lives, we often want people to be simple. We want them to be entirely good or entirely bad. Heroes or villains, trustworthy or deceitful. But Yarros reminds us that people are layered. They carry their own wounds, their own fears, their own reasons for doing what they do. And sometimes understanding those reasons doesn't excuse the hurt, but it does change how we see the story. Violet's journey forces her to confront this uncomfortable truth. The person she loves is not simply good or bad. He is flawed, broken in ways she didn't see, and capable of both profound loyalty and devastating secrecy. And she must decide whether she can love someone fully human, someone who disappoints her, someone who carries darkness alongside light. This mirrors a lesson many of us learn painfully in adulthood. The people we love will let us down, they will make mistakes. They will hide parts of themselves out of fear or shame. And we have to choose whether we can accept their imperfections while still honoring our own boundaries. It's one of the hardest balances to strike. Too much forgiveness, and we lose ourselves. Too little, and we lose everyone. Yarros also explores the theme of power and what it costs. Violet possesses abilities that set her apart, that make her valuable and dangerous, but power in this story is not a blessing. It's a burden, it isolates, it makes her a target. It forces impossible choices, and it asks a question that resonates deeply in our modern world. What do you do when you have power? Do you use it to protect others, even at great cost to yourself? Or do you protect yourself first? We live in a time when many of us feel powerless. We watch the world unfold on screens, feeling small and overwhelmed. But Yarros suggests that even small acts of courage matter. That choosing to stand up for what's right, even when you're afraid, even when the outcome is uncertain, is a form of power. That protecting the people you love, speaking truth when it's dangerous, refusing to become cruel even when the world is cruel to you, these are acts of profound strength. Violet doesn't always get it right. She makes impulsive decisions. She pushes people away when she needs them most. She lets her anger cloud her judgment. But she keeps trying, she keeps showing up. She keeps choosing to care, even when caring hurts. And that persistence, that refusal to give up on herself or the people she loves, is perhaps the most inspiring part of her story. Another theme woven throughout Onyx Storm is the idea of chosen family. Violet isn't defined solely by the family she was born into or the expectations placed upon her. She builds her own circle of loyalty. She finds people who see her truly, who fight beside her, who challenge her to be better. And she learns that family isn't just blood. It's the people who stay when things get hard. It's the people who tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. It's the people who believe in your strength when you've forgotten it yourself. This idea feels particularly relevant now. Many of us have had to redefine what family means. We've had to set boundaries with people who share our DNA. We've had to find community in unexpected places. And we've learned that belonging isn't about where you come from. It's about who chooses you and who you choose in return. Yarros writes with an understanding that relationships are messy. That love is complicated, that trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But she also writes with hope. She shows us characters who refuse to let bitterness consume them, who keep their hearts open despite the risk, who believe that people can grow, change, and become better than they were. The world Violet inhabits is brutal. War looms constantly. Death is commonplace, betrayal is expected. But even in that darkness, moments of beauty emerge. Friendships that defy logic, love that survives impossible tests, acts of kindness that seem small but shift everything. And Yarros reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we get to choose what kind of person we become. So why does Onyx Storm resonate so deeply with modern readers? Perhaps because it speaks to fears we all carry. The fear of being betrayed by someone we love. The fear of not being strong enough when it matters. The fear of losing ourselves in the process of surviving. But it also speaks to our deepest hopes, the hope that we can endure, that we can love fiercely despite the risk, that we can become more than our pain. In a world that often feels overwhelming, stories like this remind us that we are not alone in our struggles, that the feelings of fear, doubt, and heartbreak are universal, that everyone, at some point, faces a moment when everything falls apart, and that the measure of who we are isn't whether we avoid those moments, but how we respond when they come. Violet's story is not about becoming fearless. It's about being afraid and moving forward anyway. It's not about never getting hurt. It's about healing and choosing to stay open. It's not about finding easy answers. It's about sitting with hard questions and trusting that clarity will come. As the story unfolds, Violet learns that strength isn't about control. It's about vulnerability. It's about admitting when you're wrong. It's about asking for help when you need it. It's about letting people in, even when every instinct tells you to protect yourself. And it's about believing that even when everything seems broken, there is still a way forward. This is a message many of us need to hear. We live in a culture that glorifies independence, that tells us to be self-sufficient, to never need anyone. But Yarros shows us a different kind of strength. The strength to say, I can't do this alone. The strength to say, I'm scared, but I'm here anyway. The strength to say, you hurt me, but I'm willing to listen. These are not easy words to speak. They require courage that is often invisible. But they are the words that build a real connection. They are the words that transform relationships from surface level to soul deep. They are the words that remind us we are human, and being human means being imperfect, vulnerable, and in need of each other. As Onyx Storm draws to its powerful conclusion, We are left not with neat resolutions, but with honest truths. Growth is painful, love is risky, trust is fragile. But all of it, every bit of the struggle, is worth it. Because the alternative, closing ourselves off, hardening our hearts, refusing to hope that isn't safety, that's just a different kind of death. Violet's journey reminds us that we are always becoming. That who we were yesterday doesn't have to define who we are tomorrow. That mistakes are not the end of the story. That even when we feel broken beyond repair, we have the capacity to rebuild ourselves into something even more beautiful than we were before. So what can we take from this story into our own lives? Perhaps it's the reminder to be brave enough to be honest, to say the hard things, to ask the difficult questions, to refuse to settle for relationships built on silence and secrets. Perhaps it's the reminder that healing is not linear, that some days we will feel strong and some days we will fall apart, and both are okay. Perhaps it's the reminder that we are allowed to change our minds, to grow beyond who we used to be, to choose differently than we did before. And perhaps, most importantly, it's the reminder that we are not meant to face life's storms alone. That reaching out, building connections, choosing to trust again despite past pain, this is not weakness. This is the very essence of what it means to be alive. Rebecca Yarros has given us more than an exciting fantasy tale. She's given us a mirror, a chance to see our own fears, our own hopes, our own capacity for resilience reflected back at us. And in Violet's story, we find permission to be imperfect, to struggle, and to keep going anyway. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to Classic Books Explained for more timeless ideas.